All right, guys, let's take a look at circumference and area of circles. Now, we've dealt with a little bit of this before, so some of this should seem to be kind of a review. We got two formulas here. Area formula is going to be the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared, where r is our radius. Circumference, we have actually two formulas for this. This is going to be, you have circumference is equal to 2 pi r, or the circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. Remember that the diameter is equal to 2 radiuses, or the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. Okay, so two ways to look at that. Remember, area is the amount of space inside of an object, and circumference of a circle is the distance around it. It's the perimeter of a circle. So let's look here. We're not going to work every example. We're going to most of them, but and for the ones that you need to see, you can go look at the completed notes, and you can fill in those. So first thing here, circles 1 through 4, we're going to do the area. 5 through 8, we're going to do the circumference. So we begin by writing our formula down. Area is equal to pi r squared. In this case, our radius is 12. So because we're dealing with circles, we're going to do things in two answers in terms of pi and to the nearest hundredth. So let's look here. We're going to have area is equal to 12 squared pi. Area is equal to 144 pi. This would be meters squared. So that's our first answer, and then as we calculate pi, that's our second answer. We're going to get 452.39 meters squared. So both of these are a correct answer. One's in terms of pi, an exact answer. The other one is rounded off. So the next problem here, once again, we're using area. So area is equal to pi r squared. And this time our diameter is equal to 12. So in order to use our formula, we need the radius. So we divide it by 2. And that gives us 6. The radius is 6 here. So area is equal to pi times 6 squared, which is going to give us 36 pi. And this is going to be in inches squared. There's our first answer. Second answer is going to be when we multiply it by pi, and that's going to give us 254.47 squared inches. So those are our two answers here for this one. All right, let's move on to the next one here, number 3. Actually, we're not going to do these two. These are the same thing, so we're just going to kind of hit the main ones here. That way our video is not too long. So let's take a look now. We have the, once again, this is going to be circumference because this is problem 5. So circumference is equal to 2 pi r. We're given the radius, so we want to use the radius formula. So radius is equal to 7. So we're going to get circumference is equal to 2 times 7 times pi. That's going to give us 14 pi. This will be millimeters. And this is just going to be the distance around, so it's not squared. Okay, just the millimeters. Not talking about area here. So let's look at the next one here. This is where we calculate it, and 14 times pi is going to give us 43.98. This will be just in millimeters. Okay. All right, so let's move on down here to number 7. Notice they give us the diameter, so we're going to do circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. Since they give us the diameter here is 58, then our answer is going to be circumference is equal to 58 pi. This will be in yards. So that is our first answer. And then our second answer is when we multiply 58 times pi, and that's going to give us approximately 182.21. This will be in yards. Okay. So now let's go down here to finding the radius or diameter. This is where we have to do a little more work. Okay. So find the diameter of the circle with the circumference of 65.97. So we know the circumference is equal to this, 65.97. We're going to use the formula circumference is equal to, because we're looking for diameter, we're going to use the formula pi times diameter. Now, we plug in this over here, 65.97 for circumference, and it's equal to pi times diameter. So the next step here is going to be just divide both sides by pi. Because we're not looking for an exact answer here in terms of pi, we're looking for what is our diameter. We're going to calculate it here. And it's going to give us a number that comes out to be something like 20.9989. If you round this off to 2 decimal places here, that's going to make it approximately 21. So our diameter would be approximately 21. And this would be in meters, so 21 meters. So let's look at the circumference here. So we're going to use the other formula. Circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the radius. So they give us this is going to be 21.99 feet is our circumference, equal to 2 pi radius. So what we're going to do now is we're going to divide both of these by 2 pi. So you can do it all at once or you can do it separately. I think it's easiest if we just do this at once here on this one here because we're not doing anything exact. So 21.99 divided by pi is going to end up being about 3.5 for our radius. This would be in feet. So what we're doing is we're just solving for r. All right, let's flip it over here and look at number 11. Find the radius of the circle with a circumference of 35 pi yards. So notice they give us pi in here, which means the pi is going to cancel out. So same type of problem here. We're going to do circumference is equal to, now we're looking for the radius. So we're going to use the 2 pi times the radius formula. We're going to plug in 35 pi for our circumference. And then we're going to set it equal to 2 pi r. Now because we're trying to find r, we're going to get rid of everything else. So I'm going to divide by 2 pi. Divide both sides by 2 pi. That cancels everything over here. So the radius is equal to, now notice here that the pi's cancel here. So 35 divided by 2 is going to be 17.5. So the radius is going to be 17.5 and this will be yards. All right. So let's take a look at the next one here. Find the diameter of the circle with the area of 615.75 cubic centimeters. So this is what we're going to have to do a little bit different here. We're going to be finding the diameter given the area. So area is equal to pi times the radius squared. Now because we're looking for the diameter, we know we're going to have to take is equal to 2 times the radius. So the area formula is going to give us the radius, and we're going to have to double at the end to get the diameter. So let's plug our numbers in. 615.75 is equal to pi times the radius squared. Now notice when we divide by pi, there's not a pi in our area, so that means we're going to get a decimal. But before we do this, let's wait to the very end to calculate it. This 615.75 over pi is equal to the radius squared. So we're going to have to get rid of the squares, we have to take the square root. And we have to do to one side, we have to do the other. So we're going to take the square root of 615.75. So let's show you how to do this in your calculator. You want to make sure that you get everything underneath. Okay, let's clear everything out here. So we're going to do the square root, and then we're going to take 615.75, and then we're going to divide it by pi. So you want pi to be included underneath here. Sometimes you may have to do open parentheses around both to make sure it's included here. So we hit enter, and notice that's going to give us 13.9997544, which is going to be pretty much 14. So if we round it off, we'd get 14. So our radius is going to be approximately 14. Now, going back to this, we're going to take our diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. So we're going to go diameter is equal to 28. So our answer would be 28 centimeters. All right, let's look at the number 14. Find the diameter of a circle with an area of 90.25 pi meters squared. So notice this one has a pi in it. So we're still using the same formula. Area is equal to pi times the radius squared. And now, once again, we're going to write down the other formula, 2 pi r. So we're going to plug our area in. 90.25 pi is equal to pi times the radius squared. So notice when they give us the pi, it makes everything a little bit easier because the pi cancels out. We don't have to deal with all those decimals. So we get 90.25 is equal to r squared. And once again, we're looking for the r, so we have to take the square root, both sides. And when we take the square root of 90.25, that's going to give us approximately 9.5. And then we're going to multiply that by 2, so the diameter is going to equal 2 times 9.5, which is going to give us 19, and this would be in meters. So if they ask you just for the radius, it should be done here over at the left, but since they asked us for the diameter, we have to make sure we double that to get our answer. All right, let's work in between formulas. Now we're going to use two formulas. Find the area of a circle with a circumference of 26 pi feet. So we're looking for the area, but but we have circumference to start off with. So we're going to use circumference, and we're going to use the formula that deals with 2 pi r, since we need to deal with the radius in our area formula, which is pi r squared. So we start off here, and we're going to put 26 pi in here for our circumference, equal to 2 pi r, and then we're going to solve for the radius. So we're going to divide by 2 pi. Everything cancels on the right but r, and the left 26 divided by 2 is going to give us 13. So now we're going to take our radius and we're going to use it in our area formula. We're going to do 13 squared pi, and so area is equal to 169 pi, and this would be feet squared. So this will be our first answer. If it asks us to do exact answer, chances are on these problems they don't, but just in case they do, when it works out like this, you could leave it in exact form. And now we'll multiply it by pi, and that's going to give us 530.93 square feet. Those are our two possible answers here. All right, let's look at 17. Find the circumference of a circle with an area of 113.1 square inches. Okay, so we're starting with the area this time. Area is equal to pi times the radius squared. And so since we're dealing with the area, we're going to have the radius here, so we're going to use the 2 pi r formula. So area is equal to 113.1 equal to pi times the radius squared. So notice there's not a pi in our area right here, so we have to divide it out, and it's going to be a decimal, but kind of like we did before, so we're going to do this. Radius squared is equal to 113.1 divided by pi. Once again, we're going to take the square root, both sides. And we do so, we're going to get approximately 6.0. It's going to round up to be that. And then we're going to use this number in our circumference formula. So 2 times 6.0, which is just 6 times pi. So circumference is approximately 12 pi, or most likely, because we had to round off over here, they're going to have you put it, not going to have you put it in terms of pi, which means we'll do 12 times pi and get 37.70. And this would be in just inches because it's just a perimeter. All right, let's look at number 19. Find the area of a circle with a circumference of 18.84 yards. So we're looking for the area given circumference. We're going to use 2 pi r again, and we're going to be using pi r squared. So once again, we're looking for the radius, so we're going to get 18.84 equal to 2 times pi times the radius. So now we're going to be dividing by 2 pi. If we plug this in, we're going to get, this is going to come out to be 2.998. If we round this up, it's going to give us to about 3. It's closely to our radius. So if we plug this into our area formula, we're going to get the radius, which will be 3 squared times pi. So it's going to be roughly 9 pi, which is going to then in turn be 28.27. And this is going to be an area, so we're dealing with squared units, so yards squared. All right, so you can go back and work the other ones that we did not work, and you can check your answers with the completed notes. That concludes this lesson on area and circumference.